1698. 1698. I'm checking in to see if you got any questions, comments, or concerns of anything that we discussed thus far in trustee training, civics class. 1698.
Islam, brother, babe.
Islam.
Yeah, sure. I've got plenty of questions. So the guy that was just on the recording,
Islam,
was dealing with some type of real estate.
Islam.
And the effective part, the part that hit me, he was saying that, and I understand the banks don't own any houses, but, everybody's, not everybody, people are bamboozled. They, when they see the bank coming, they run.
Correct.
Not knowing their right.
Islam.
So, when he was saying that he was going to go down the list, check the titles of the houses, find out who they belong to, and try to retrieve these houses and give them back to you.
Islam.
I would love to learn that process. I would learn that. I've been dibble and dabbling in it.
Islam.
Dibble and dabbling in it, and I think, especially in the case of somebody owned the house and just got thrown out by the bank.
Islam.
Not making a payment, and then you have homeless people that, and I can understand some of the owners and the state remedies where they're saying, well, no, it's just, we can't get these people these houses because they may burn them up. But I would love to learn that process to actually go out and just. I would never take anybody's house that wasn't a corporation. If they're a corporation like a bank, saying they have interest, I'll snatch it.
Islam.
Especially if they're not, providing, doing stuff by the law.
Islam.
And I like to get that. That's why I'm saying I'm really receiving this opportunity, man. Really receiving it. So I guess that wasn't a question; it was a statement, more or less.
Islam. See the
point.
Islam. See the key to it is you can definitely become your brother's keeper when you're secure and you have substantiated your trust. You become a vehicle to really serve your brothers and sisters in that capacity. Substantiating the trust means you have perfected the record and the trust in such a way where you can execute through your administrative duties. One being that your duty is to offset, discharge, alleviate all public obligations. And in your case, and I'm speaking to those that are Moors that have a legacy trust, you are allowed to collect a tributary tax because the things that are being used commercially were brought to this planet by your foremothers and forefathers. And because they're being used, they owe your royal estate a royalty for the use of those inventions. Now, when you think about it systematically, a lot of the things that we use every day can capitalize your estate because you are owed a tributary tax, and you can use the Internal Revenue Service to collect that tax. If you're properly structured in trust and you have substantiated that that is one of your pillars or foundations for capital raising. So this process that you're hearing in this aspect of real estate really becomes effective and efficient, because if you're doing nation building, this is part of replenishing the nation to uplift fallen humanity. I hope this is really starting to make sense to a lot of folks. I hope this really is starting to jive with a lot of folks. We'll pick one more person, see if they got any questions. Islam, last four digits of your number is 6456. 6456. I'm checking in to see if you got any questions, comments, or concerns over anything you've heard thus far in trustee training inside of the civics class.
I do. So, what was interesting to me, and is the fact that we have the authority to kind of like discharge everything that they do.
Islam.
As a trustee?
As a trustee, you are qualified, capable, you are substantiated under the Hague, you are under a level of authority where if these things come into your social circle, I'm going to use the word social circle, everybody, the youngsters like that. If these things are going on in your community, in your social circle, part of your mandate as a fiduciary is to bring balance to those things.
Okay. So let me ask you something. So if you lost your house, if you weren't in a trust, and then you form a trust, you can go back and perfect your title and take your house back?
Islam.
And how long is that process?
Well, the process is predicated upon two variables. The first variable is, okay, we'll go down the foreclosure road. When you were foreclosing, let me ask a question, and it is a trick question, but I want you to follow so you'll see the remedy, so you can answer your own question. When the foreclosure took place, were they in a position of substantiating the trust, or have they already substantiated the trust when the foreclosure took place? These two variables determine the responses and remedies and procedures necessary to reclaim. Remember, it's an honor, right? Like it's an honor dishonor process. So since it's an honor dishonor process, when they went into default, were they in trust when they went into default? If they wasn't, or if they even if they had a trust on paper, they didn't substantiate that. Does that negate the fact? Does that negate the fact that they are acting commercially in dishonor? If it's dishonor that we must come out up from under, in order for you to go forward, you must be in an honorable position. That's why there must be a substantiated trust and a knowledgeable trustee who understands the ability to be able to move forward in that process. So to answer your question, yes, you can do this with a properly structured, substantiated trust and knowledge of this honor process. Because the power in trust isn't admiralty, it's equity. You use admiralty law to enforce equity. They're forcing you into admiralty because they have a security interest that they are defending, that they are protecting, that they are enforcing. Because even though they didn't tell you they were in trust, they are treating these transactions as if they were. You're saying I got a trust, but you haven't what? Substantiated it.
Okay, gotcha. So we can substantiate the trust that they created for us, or do we have to substantiate a new trust?
All trust needs to be substantiated to have standing. And because you're forming hundreds of trusts, if you take the low position, we gave you a trust document with, this is what they're really saying that you're not saying. You signed an application and you went and got a loan. You called it a loan, and then you got you defaulted on the loan. That's what they want you to think, and they're not going to change that. Here's the fact. You participated in about 5 trusts, and you were a beneficiary in all trusts, and you did not enforce your right as a beneficiary in those trusts. That's the problem.
So they took it. So they came in and laid claims to it?
Right, because the beneficiaries can't control the trustees. The trustees set the tone.
So, the trust.
Right.
Okay.
So it's about it's about who you are in the transaction. Keep going. Keep going.
Okay, so in essence, to substantiate it, we got to go in, substantiate, we got to go and show proof that we're the trustees of that trust that they created.
You literally take the trust was an implied trust because it came into existence by law. You got to convert that implied trust to an express trust, which gives you standing. Right. Then you can move into honor, dishonor.
Okay, so you said we got to take that implied trust and turn it into what type of trust?
The implied trust comes into existence by law. Express trust comes by declaration and documentation.
Okay, so we have to transfer it into an express trust.
Correct.
And that's when we send them the documentation that we were taking possession of the trust that they created.
Correct. Exactly. That's what the UCC notices are. They're putting them on notice that you are moved out of the beneficiary position into the trustee position. But the beneficiary interest still is intact. It's just that you are moving into. Let me be clear. You are operating from that point on as a fiduciary and not just the beneficiary.
Okay.
You're becoming responsible. You're taking responsibility. You're taking responsibility for the liability that's laying upon that straw man that you were associated with under the previous trust obligation. Right.
Okay, so when we go into an express trust, like everything, their implied trust put us in dishonor, we can now turn it into an honorable transaction.
Exactly.
Is that what I'm?
Exactly.
We just got to know what paperwork to sign.
We got to know who we are. Not only do we know what paperwork to sign, I'm gonna be very clear. In the present day English language, we are participating in things that mean nothing. So you can use their paperwork and totally, like a blackboard, erase everything on it and become the author and write it how you want to see fit with the happy ending.
Oh, really?
Right. That's the level of authorityship that you have. The honor dishonor process is a Pandora's box. Once you gain honor, you can take full control of that commercial endeavor when you understand your power is in equity and admiralty enforces equity. Because that's what they're doing to you. They know it ain't no money in existence. That's why they monetized the note 3 times. Your signature paid for the property. You didn't have to make no mortgage payment, but guess what? You consented to do that. So even though you didn't have to, you volunteered. So they're not going to let you out of your contract, which was a trust.
Right.
They're not doing anything wrong. We just confused on who we are in it. Is it deceitful?
Yeah, we don't know.
Right. Is it deceitful? Yes. But ignorance of the law is no excuse. Didn't they put it in the teeny tiny print? Did we read it? No, we just wanted the keys.
Right.
We've been taught by them. They know how we think. That's why when I made a comment at the beginning of the class, you don't want gold and silver, you want what it can buy. You don't want to haul that stuff up and down the highway. It's too much work.
All right.
And they know this. And they test us all the time with this.
Wow.
If people were and I'm speaking to those that are working a 9 to 5, I want you to hear me. If you're used to getting a paycheck, and when you get paid this week, They say, we're not giving you paychecks anymore. We're going to give you a credit slip. There will be holy hell